So I had somebody message me and ask me, why go through all this trouble? Why can't I just use ChatGPT and ask it questions? And the answer to that's pretty simple. It's because we want to control what the LLM, whether that's Claude or Gemini or ChatGPT, is using to come up with the information for your brand, your sales copy, etc. So this is the second layer that we use. This is a market narrative. Again, this is for Woodstock Fence Company, but you can kind of look at this and you can see that we are purposely creating the brand messaging and positioning that we want to, what we want to create our copy and our sales literature around. Okay. And so if you just ask a regular LLM something about, hey, write me an email sequence for a fence company, it's going to pull information from all sorts of places, and it's going to do what they call hallucinate, which is make up things, say things that are not actually part of your brand story, or that don't really relate to you specifically. Maybe they pull in things about commercial and you're specifically residential, or maybe they say you have offerings for some type of specific fence that you don't do, or some make up things, right? And so if you come in here and you read through this market narrative, you can kind of see what we are trying to do is we're saying this is why we exist. Okay, this is what we see as the industry shifting, and this is where the people that we're trying to reach are at in their buying process, right? This is who they are. This is the problems that they face. This is the new emerging truth. We have our narrative framework, before and after states, so that we can create before after bridge copy. We have realization moments and things that we can use to craft hooks and other things in our sales copy. And then if you get down to some of the trigger events, right? These are things that you can use in your first part of your literature, right? Have a new pool, new pet, anything like that. These are reasons that they need a fence, right? And so you can do and create things around specific events, and then you can do before and after, what it felt like before it happened, what it felt like after it happened, after you have the fence installed. You have your category story. You have the enemy of your business and what these customers are trying to avoid, so that you can call that out in your sales literature. All of these things come into play, but I don't want a regular LLM to make this stuff up, right? I want it to go into the details and the information that I have created and be able to call on specific parts of this market narrative and say, hey, look, here's our themes, right? This is what we're about. This is what we're solving for you, and this is why it works. And then we have our messaging perspectives, who these people are, what they're looking for. We have what approach they care about, all of these type things, the core feelings that they have, what they're going to feel like after they have the product installed, and then our basically our narrative summary. So all of this stuff is specific to this customer, and we don't want stuff that's non-specific, because when you have non-specific stuff, you're not aligned. So when I take the first layer, which is the ICP, which I went over in a different video, and then I combine that ideal customer with our market narrative, you start to develop patterns and you start to develop a cohesive story. And when you add those into the other 7 layers that we have, you're able to create things that are 100% specific to your company, always on brand, always on message, and it's just cohesive marketing. So you don't have things that are separate. You don't have different stories. You don't have different lines. Your copy and your landing pages, they make sense together. So when somebody clicks on an ad, there's congruency to the landing page. There's congruency with your email marketing. There's congruency with your sales script. There's congruency throughout all of your marketing by doing this. And when you have different people or multiple teams say you hire a copywriter, you hire somebody to do your ads, you have an agency that does this, they're outsourcing some of it to the Philippines or whatever, you end up with broken, non-cohesive stories. And by creating an engine like this, you're not only cohesive because everything is a single source of truth, but you also get rid of all the external people. So you don't need an agency, you don't need a copywriter, you don't need these people from you know Philippines or from other non-English speaking, so to speak, countries that they just doesn't jive. It just doesn't make sense together, and that's why we created this, and it's really powerful. So I just wanted to show you that and answer that question. I'll see you in the next video.